Hey everybody, I'm Scott with Keeping It Real Bass Fishing. Appreciate you joining the video today. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscription button there. Go ahead and get subscribed. We appreciate that, and hopefully today you enjoyed the video, and hopefully we can show you something or teach you something that you didn't already know. If you're new to the channel, like I say, I'm Scott, and this is Keeping It Real Bass Fishing. I appreciate you joining, and therefore there again, hit that subscribe, if I can get the word out, hit the subscribe button. There's a like button there too. You can like the content or the video if you do, at the end of the video, and also there's a notification button you'll see below as well if you want to be notified of any other videos. We do have a lot of other different videos on our Keeping It Real Bass Fishing YouTube channel. If you just go to our channel, Keeping It Real Bass Fishing in YouTube, and look us up, and you'll see all our videos that's posted. Feel free to look at those other videos, especially if you're new to bass fishing or a beginner. Or if you like pond fishing too, we got some stuff on there about pond fishing. We've done just getting started, really. We've got a lot of other good videos in store we plan on doing for you guys. It just takes time to get all this stuff together. I wanted to talk to you about, like I say, the topic that I talked about earlier, which was spinnerbait, because we talked about that earlier in another video. I was telling everybody that I was going to do this video on spinnerbaits. The reason being is, you know, as you can see, I've got all kinds of spinnerbaits laying here on this table. I mean, there's all different sizes, there's different blades, different colors, and I want to talk about a little bit about that. And I think the reason why I really want to talk about, you know, this particular subject is, to me, it seems like, you know, spinnerbait fishing has kind of gone away. A lot of people, you know, even the pros and a lot of guys don't talk about throwing spinnerbait or even throw a spinnerbait. Some still do, but you just don't hear much about it. But, you know, spinnerbait is one of my favorite baits to throw. I throw a spinnerbait year round. Every time I go to the water, I have a spinnerbait or two tied on, and I'm always throwing it. There's reasons for that. I have caught a lot of fish on spinnerbait, and I've caught a lot of big bass on spinnerbait. They will catch them, no doubt about it. And if you're going to a new area to fish, even if it's on a pond or if it's on the lake, and you're looking for fish, trying to get on a pattern, trying to locate fish, and trying to find fish, spinnerbait's a good bait to throw, and to do that. When I tournament fished, I used to, you know, use a spinnerbait just to locate fish. I'd get if I didn't know the lake, obviously I had maps. We'd find places we want to run to and go fish, depending on the time of the year and the seasons and water conditions and water levels and different things where the fish ought to be staged. Or at least we would think they would be. You got to have some kind of plan to start with. So we go practice and try to locate these bass and get on some kind of pattern. And that's standard, you know, with anybody that's been fishing or bass fishing for any length of time. You know, you got to know how to find the fish, where to locate them, and you know, and there's a lot involved in all that, which that could be another video. But I used to use spinnerbaits as my go-to lure to locate bass. I wouldn't take 9, 10 rods with me to the lake to go try to locate fish. I'd take me probably 3 poles. Like I go pond fishing. I'd take me a good rod and reel outfit, you know, that was the size of rod I wanted, the style of rod with the right pound test line on, and had me a spinnerbait on. And I'd also had me another rod that I would use to pitch or flip with or finesse. And it's depending on the time of the year. If it was in summertime, maybe it's in top water. If it was in the colder months, you know, probably throwing a crankbait a good bit. Even in the summertime, you get out on deeper water throwing crankbaits, or even throwing a crankbait around the banks. But those type of lures are the ones I would use to go out and try to find fish. Just depending on, you know, what we were doing. But that's another video we could do. But I'm just saying, if you guys are trying to locate and find fish, spinnerbait's a good bait to do that if you don't already know that. For you new guys, that's something to remember. It's a good tip. Even in ponds or small lakes, spinnerbait's a really good bait as well, especially if that water, if it's dirty or it got color, kind of muddy, or chocolate milk as I like to call it. Spinnerbait can be real effective in that color water on the pond. With my experience on ponds that have real clear water, I mean, you can catch fish on spinnerbait, maybe get a reaction bite, but with my experience fishing ponds with super clear water, that don't have a lot of depth, it's just, spinnerbait have a tendency, I've seen it spook them more than anything. But it can get a reaction bite depending on the time of the year. If it's just springtime, yes. Getting a, you know, pre-spawn, yes. In springtime, that type of thing, that, or maybe when they just starting to try to get up on the beds, they're a little bit more aggressive and defensive, and they have a tendency to react to, in other words, to get that reaction bite. And so it really don't matter if it's clear water or not. But spinnerbait works year round. You can throw it in clear water, like I say. If you throw it in deep water, and you can fish it, you know, and throw it out and do different techniques. And that's what I want to talk about, because, like I say, a lot of guys don't talk about spinnerbaits much, and they don't. I guess they're not using them, or they just not catching fish on them. I don't know what the deal is. But if you're like this time of year, you know, it's hot. It's 90-something degrees, like 95 today. And if you're out on the lake, see, and you're trying to fish deep, or fishing ledges, or out fishing points, and maybe the fish are suspended. They're not on the bottom. You know, the water's fairly clear. You know, got good visibility. You know, you could throw a ½ ounce, a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait, you know, something like that puppy right there. And, you know, it looks like shad. It's just like the type of shad that we find in the lakes a lot. This Strike King makes this particular spinnerbait. Of course, I have a trailer hook on there because they have a tendency to strike short. That's another good tip. Some people don't like them because they get hung up a lot, but if you fish in open water, you're not going to get hung up on that. But if you're fishing grass or laydowns and stuff like that, you don't want no trailer hook on. If you're fishing in a pond and you're not, you know, and you're fishing more open type of water, there's not structure that you're trying to fish around, a lot of grass or moss and stuff of that nature, you could probably use a trailer hook if you need to. But my point with this puppy right here, you know, I call them, they call them spinnerbaits, but I always call them spinner bugs. I've had a lot of success. You could throw it's like a ½ ounce spinnerbait, got a little Colorado blade and Indiana blade, silver blades. You could throw that thing out and let it fall and let it sink to about, you know, where the fish are. This thing could fall about a foot per second. So if you know where the fish are located, you know, you grab them out and you see they're suspended in 10, 15 foot of water, or throw out past them, because you can sling it pretty good. And let it fall down about that, count about 10, if it's 15 foot, count that in 15 seconds. And it should generally be in the strike zone But you don't want to, crank it back fast and burn it, because then you're going to bring it back up to the surface. You want to try to just crank it steady, where you can feel the blades turn, and try your best to keep it in that strike zone if they're in 15 foot of water. That's the objective. When you bring that thing through there, it'll catch fish. You can just swim it through there like normal, just cranking it through. You can bring it through there and just kind of pause it. I do that a lot. I'll be fishing along and I'll stop and let it flutter down. When it falls, it goes down, these blades turn up like this, and they helicopter down like this. But that bass, if he's following that spinnerbait, and you let that thing drop, he thinks he's trying to get away. He's going to nail it. That's one way you can fish spinnerbaits. It's in this clearer, deeper water. You can take a spinnerbait. I like to take them that's why I have like double willow leaf. This one's a war eagle. It has a gold blade and a silver blade, but you can burn that puppy across the surface. And keep it up like, right near the top, maybe about 6 inches or 10 inches or a foot underneath the water. Bring it up to the surface and let the blades come out of the water and just flip and flutter, and bring it back down. In other words, just keep throwing it out and burning it by. If the fish are hitting or wanting to get, or if the fish are on a reaction or reactive or responsive type bite, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's, if they're going to react and they're going to chase this thing down and they're going to eat it. And most of you guys already know this stuff if you've been fishing any length of time. I'm not telling you nothing you don't probably already know. Because they run across the top of the water just, like shad. It would appear like shad chasing each other. And like I say, I know a lot of you guys may know some of these techniques, but there's a lot of guys out there that don't. See, so if this is something you already know, and don't shout us down, for telling somebody else something else they can learn. But like I say, all the newer guys to bass fishing or just learning, or even the young guys, whereas they probably, I know my guys probably don't even own spinnerbaits, or maybe just have one or two, and they don't. Nobody's never taught them techniques on how to fish spinnerbaits. So I'm trying to reach you guys. If this is boring content to you, then just share it with somebody else that instead of just turning me off. Which I hope you don't do, but if you did, this is boring to you. Tell your neighbor or your friend, your brother, your cousin, anybody who who's trying to fish that might could learn from this. Let them know about us. Let them know about our channel here at Keeping It Real Bass Fishing here on YouTube. I appreciate that, and hopefully they'll learn something. Anyway, these baits, like this is another put out by Strike King, but it's a KVD, Kevin Van Dam, one of his spinner baits. Notice the head on that thing, how it's got that round bald head. You see that? That's a good one right there. If you're fishing around structure, lay down some stuff of that nature, because it'll bounce right off of it. That head will hit them limbs and bounce, and it don't have a tendency to hang up as easy. And something to help you out to remember. And another thing about spinnerbaits is weight. It's a half ounce. It's a 3/8, and that's a War Eagle. There's another War Eagle. That's a 5/16 ounce. There's different 3/8, 5/16, half, 3/4 ounce. Obviously, the bigger they are, bigger spinnerbait. For bigger water, deeper water. smaller the water, shallower the water, I always go to a smaller spinnerbait. You take a half-ounce spinnerbait or something bigger and throwing it in a foot or two water, that thing goes crashing in the water. It spooks the fish a lot of times. And blades, it's like you got, this is a 3/8 spinnerbait. Ball head, what I call a ball head on it, but it also has the gold blades. It has a Colorado blade here, and also it has an Indiana blade. Great combo. And when you cast this out into the water, if you throw it gently, you can sling it a long ways, flip it, and you can cast it. And when it hits the water, it doesn't make a big crash. It's kind of more subtle. But you got to reel it back slow. If you try to reel it back too fast, especially if you got a little guest flying around. If you got a high-speed reel, which most of us do with our bait catcher, you're going to crank it back too fast, and then you're going to end up bringing it up to the surface, and which you may not want to do, depending on the type of fishing you're trying to do. I don't know. Like I say, I fish spinnerbait a lot. I don't always try to do that. Which I don't want to come into the top of water and flipping around all the time. I say 5 out of 10 times, I'm probably throwing it, or maybe more than that. I like to try to keep my spinnerbait under the water about a foot or two when I'm cranking it, no matter where I'm throwing it. Now, obviously, if I'm in shallow water and it ain't no more than 2 foot, I'm keeping it just under the surface and just a little bit above the bottom, because you can see it. And I try to keep it under in that area. I seem to have had more success in catching bass doing that, keeping it, depending, like say, the depth of the water, you want to keep it down several feet underneath the surface. But if you see bass up, like I say, running shad and going crazy chasing shad, depending on the size of the shad, obviously. If it's big shad, you could put you on a spinnerbait with double willow leaves and fire that puppy out and run it through there, and you'll grab you one. And there's different color skirts. Now, one thing too I like about a lot of these new spinnerbaits coming out, that's came out lately, or I don't know, I guess say the last couple of years, maybe longer than that, but you notice how the skirt's a lot better. Back in the day, I've been fishing over 45 years, so I've got some spinnerbaits with the daggum skirts on them made out of some material you probably wouldn't even recognize, and they would barely even cover the hook right here. But these days they got real good pretty skirts on. They got that silicone skirt, and they also make that skirt long. See how it's long right here? Makes it look like a trailer. So when that thing's running through the water, that thing's back there and it's got a natural kick to it. It's made like part of the skirt and it looks more real. That thing it looks awesome in the water if you can actually see it. And that's something I want to, I was going to tell you a little bit later, but that's a surprise. But anyway, this is important. Trailers are important on a spinnerbait. I believe it is. A lot of guys that's ever fished spinnerbaits and had any kind of success with them will probably agree with me. And they all seem to have that now. See how these here? It's the strikes. Pretty much all I throw is even the KVDs, Kevin Van Dam spinnerbait made by Strike King, or these War Eagles. That's pretty much the only ones I usually throw. There's a ton of other ones out there. It's your preference on ones you want to throw. But these out of all the spinnerbaits I bought, I probably got 100 spinnerbaits. if I was to show you all of them. These are just ones I have here, my go-tos that I use a lot. I have another box as big as a tackle box in this lamp full of spinnerbaits. I just love spinnerbait fishing, and I always have, and it's something I would know something about because I've had a lot of experience with it. If you looked at any of my videos or seen any of my pictures on my Facebook page or Instagram, even here on YouTube, you'll see a lot of large bass that I've caught over the years. Most of those fish, not all of them, but at least 75% of those were caught on spinnerbaits. I kid you not, on spinnerbaits. Now, mind you, I got some I've caught big ones. Now, mind you, I've even got other big ones that I've caught in the last 3 years, I'm gonna say, maybe more, 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I've had I've probably had several 8-pounders, and I've caught, I caught one was last summer, I think it was last summer or the summer before, it was right at 10 pounds. It seemed like I one time, I'm trying to remember. It's about four bass that I caught was between 8 and 9 pounds, and I got one around 10 pounds that I caught, and those were caught here in Alabama, in North Alabama, and they were all caught within the last, I'm thinking 3 years, and I've caught 2 of those were caught on chatterbait. One of them was caught, the 10-pounder was caught on a whopper plopper. And I'm trying to remember the other one, matter of fact, the other 2 that I remember caught, those 8-pounders, were caught on spinnerbaits. And those, I was throwing I believe it was a double wheel leaf spinnerbait. I caught that one on, and then I'm going to show you something else. You see that little spinnerbait? I caught an 8-pounder on that little spinnerbait as well. And it's got a head like a regular spinnerbait, a little bit of a skirt, and a hook. It's actually got almost like a treble, except it's missing. It's got only 2 hooks, and a little bitty gold Colorado blade. But that thing, you can sling it. I mean, you sling it a mile, and you can burn that thing back, and them fish go crazy if they're feeding. They see that thing, they go crazy. I caught so many fish on that thing. You see, I don't know if you see it up close, but I have wore the paint slap off of it. Well, I didn't. The fish have. All the fish biting that thing, paint's about gone. I absolutely wore them out on that little thing right there. Just throwing it. And it's particularly in the summertime. But like I say, I've caught them mostly on spinnerbaits, all the big bass. I have caught them on some chatterbait, and I caught a few on chatterbait, and I've caught on top water too. Buzzbait, whopper plopper over the years. I've caught some really nice big bass on buzzbaits, top water at night fishing. I mean, I haven't mounted every bass I've ever caught. I've caught a lot of bass, a lot of big fish in tournaments, and just out fishing with buddies and stuff, and we always just throw them back. Try to get pictures we can. But back in the day, before cell phones was around, we couldn't get pictures of them. If we did, it was with a Kodak camera and try to take a picture and try to save those and go get the film developed, which half the time got lost and never did do it, or never went down and developed. Today it's a lot easier because we have GoPros or with cameras and phones and to get recordings of everything. I'm trying to think. The only other thing I can think about that's important about a spinnerbait is the different trailers. You can use this. I used, that's white. I use these particular trailers. And, there's different colors. You can get them in the white, shad color, green pumpkin. And you need to get them shad colors, all kind of colors, chartreuse and colors. They make real good trailers. They're swim baits. You can use them, obviously they're swim baits. We use them for swim baits as well. But you can use them for a trailer. Just take a knife or some scissors or something, or you can bite the head off. Just kind of bite it and cut so much of it off where it's square, once you run that on. It's depending on the size of your spinnerbait. Like I say, a lot of the spinnerbaits already have these trailers. Sometimes, though, if you catch enough fish on these things, that stuff will disappear. I've got one if I can find it. And I may have it tied on. Probably do. One of these puppies right here, I have absolutely blistered them on this spinnerbait. I mean, I caught 2 8-pounders on it earlier in the spring, or after it spawned, and I caught a ton of 2 and 3 pounders on it. I don't think I've caught anything under 2 pounds all year, but it's the skirt's about half gone. When they grab it and tear it up. But you can take take your trailer and just run it and put it on there. And there's different sizes. This one here is pretty. I may need to bite it off. It's already small enough. I can't tell you what the number size it is. I don't have the package that came in. I threw all that away. I don't know by heart what it is. I'm not into selling tackle. So you can put that little trailer on there. See how I hate that trailer is about the length of that skirt that was already down there. That's really, you don't want your trailer any longer than that. That's perfect for that size of the spinnerbait. It actually looks real good. That thing coming to the water, it looks like another fish. But that's definitely a good way to use a trailer if you want to, use them on spinnerbait. I'm sorry, use these swim baits as a trailer. I was trying to say, on your spinnerbaits. You got different sizes. If you want to, go to a bigger size, do the same thing. It's not much different. I thought I had some already cut. I don't know what happened to them. Go to a bigger spinnerbait. Yeah, that's just the trailer hook already on it. This right here. Thing's a salty one. Bite that head off. And you'll see it's got a rivet in the back, a ridge. You want to run that hook through that ridge. on either even on the front side or the back side. If you run it with that tail down, you're gonna get a kind of a slow kick. If you turn it with that tail sticking up like that, you'll get a real fast kick out of it. So depending on what you want to do, you just have to play around with the way the fish want it. Sometimes they want it one way or the other. You just have to figure that out by just throwing it and see if you catch anything. If you just don't give up. You throw it out there a few times, you ain't getting anything. Believe it or not, by changing that trailer, well, get it on that right. By changing that trailer, you see how I have it set up. Now that's a good profile. Going through the water, it's kicking. It's just like that right there. It looks good. That skirt's kicked back. You got those tails blowing out like this. It looks like a fish, So, like I say, you can take that back off and just rotate it. And push it back on, and you turn it where the tail's kicking up. And you'll see the difference in the wobble in the back or the kick of the fin. It's like, it gives a different presentation, so therefore it's depending on how you're fishing it and how the fish are really biting and what you really need to do. Like I say, that's, one of the more important things I think is, with the spinnerbait size. You got sizes, like I say, you go from 5/16, you got 3/8, half, 3/4, an ounce. Predominantly, most people are throwing 3/8 or half, deep water 3/4 or an ounce. And you got the smaller spinnerbaits. You won't find these no more. At least I can't find them. If you know where they are, shoot me a comment in the comment section and let me know, because I like to buy some more. I think these were put out by Strike King at one time. And I bought them a lot of years ago, and I ain't been able to find them since then. And actually, I got two. This one actually has more chartreuse. This one's solid white. Which one do you think I've thrown more? You can see the paint's eat off of this one. The way this one here looks new. And last but not least, you've got these here. These are smaller than a 5/16. I think they might be a 1/4 ounce. Red and black and red blades. And I got one this is more of a orange and brown chartreuse. It's a good brim looking color. These little boogers right here, you'd think that, them's too little, I ain't gonna catch nothing. You'd be surprised, especially in a pond. They will catch fish. I know they will, because I've caught fish on them. Sometimes you throw all these other spinnerbaits, and you're throwing jigs, you be throwing chatterbaits, and it's swimming jigs, or just a swim bait. I'm talking about in a pond. A lot of times ponds the bottom gets too grassy and you can't throw crankbaits. You do good to try to throw a worm or something in there, just not getting hung up, not unless you drop shotting or something. But you can burn a spinnerbait over the top of it, catch fish, especially with these little ones here. And you could throw a chatterbait in there and be dragging it through the grass, catch fish. But if they're not biting on that and they're not hitting a big spinnerbait, I've tied on these a little small spinnerbait like this, this one here, and you start catching fish. So I would, if you don't have any spinnerbaits, I would get me an arsenal of spinnerbaits. You don't have to have a big spread like this. This is a small amount compared to what I have, but we all have our thing. But you know, get you a variety. Get you a couple of small 3/8, you know, with some Colorado blades, Indiana blades. Get you some small ones, 3/8 with some willow leaves, 1/2 ounce with some willow leaves. You know, with some, get you different combinations of blades, you know, gold and silver, or double. You can get them both with just I'm finding one. You can get them with silver and gold. And they make them where I have one too. It's hard to find, but 2 gold leaves. And there it is. Is that it? Yeah. 2 gold willow leaf blades. That's a rare one. I like to have that one because the water gets chocolate milk or that kind of color. I like to have those color. I like that, you know, that color blade in dirty or muddy water. But you got the willow leaf. It gets a thump in a good flash. And it helps the fish locate it more. You can throw these that are double Colorado. Gold blades, but Colorado and Indiana blade, you know, as well. It gives that gold flash in that dirty water and a lot of vibration, but it don't put off as much flash. A lot of vibration and a little flash. That's important to know because of the type of water or color of water, I should say, that you're fishing. And that's going to put off vibration and a lot of flash. Same thing with silver blades and clear water. You can switch it up. In other words, like these, going with the gold and silver. But, you know, if you ain't been throwing a spinnerbait, you ought to pick up one and start throwing it again. Especially if you know, where you're out here doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, you're not really catching a lot of fish. You know, guys, don't forget about where we come from. Don't forget about our roots, our basic stuff. You know, there's a lot of new techniques or lures and new baits and products out that, you know, they're modifying them and some new techniques and stuff, and people are doing, or I should say, or have advanced it. And a lot of people think that's the only way to catch fish anymore. But I'm telling you, I can go out and fish spinnerbait and tie me on a spinnerbait, crankbait, maybe a Texas rig, Carolina rig, something for top water, you know, if need be, if it's that time of the year, and go out and find places that the fish ought to be. And 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna catch me enough fish. I've done it for many years, fishing tournaments. Just like I've told you, and I've won a lot of tournaments. Yeah, won a lot of tournaments, big tournaments, and won my share of trophies, money, and prizes and stuff. And I didn't you know, go out here fishing deep water throwing a 10-inch or 8-inch swim bait. You know, some guys can do that, like to do that, and that's the way they catch fish. You gotta think about it though. If you're watching those videos, pay attention to where they're fishing and what waters, what reservoirs are they fishing. You know, a lot of them are out west on the west coast or up north, maybe out in Texas somewhere. In Florida's a different animal down there. and then up here in the Carolinas and Alabama. You know, it's around here in Garnesville and the other lakes up north from here, and Wheeler, Pinckney. All this water, these reservoirs are different. But here in Alabama, I don't know about a lot. Well, I know about Georgia and the Carolinas. They had some ponds. They don't. I tell you what, Alabama probably got more fishing ponds than any other state I've ever been in. They're everywhere. I mean, there's probably 15 ponds within a mile from where I'm at right now. I kid you not. I showed you a bunch of them on the videos. If you don't believe me, they're within a couple miles of here. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, this content. I was trying to think if there's anything I might not have discussed about spinnerbaits I'd like to talk to you about. Anyway, I want to go ahead and give you, an opportunity to, try some of these things we talked about, and just go out and, get you a few spinnerbaits, go catch you some fish. And go catch that big one, because I know you can. And I appreciate you joining and watching the video today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me. If you enjoyed our content, hit that like button. I appreciate that. Let me know if there's any other questions you have about, tonight's video or the content about spinnerbaits. There's something else you want to know or want me to mention to you or talk about, shoot me a message in that content line there, and I'll be glad to do it for you. Also, I want us to I'm trying to think when I'm going to do this. I'm not sure, but just stay tuned with our upcoming videos. Keep checking back with us. If you, like I say, subscribe to the channel and get that notification button, you'll be notified if you keep up with all that. If not, just make sure you come back and check us out. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to try on some of these different styles of spinnerbaits, and I'm going to go and we're going to go out in my backyard and in my pool. And I'm going to get up on my deck, and we're going to pick some of these spinnerbaits out in the pool in that clear water, so you guys can see how these spinnerbaits work and react in the water. The different spinnerbaits, how they look and how they react, and also some different techniques that I was talking about. I'm going to demonstrate those for you as well in the clear water, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. You may not never have seen a demonstration. You may have, and this may not mean nothing to you, but that's fine. But like I say, if you're new to the channel, stay tuned and look for our next video. And I know you're going to enjoy that. As soon as I can get that together, and we'll do some pitching and flipping and just some casting and different things in the pool with these spinnerbaits, like I say, and hopefully you'll see and learn a thing or two. If you're a pro and you're watching this channel, thank you much. I appreciate it. But tell all your friends and neighbors who ain't a pro to look us up. And we're just trying to help the little guy. Any of you guys out there that are new bass fishing, I'm sorry, that are new to bass fishing, I'm trying to say, or just beginners, maybe, you've been fishing a while, and like I say, you just never had somebody really teach you these things. You're the guys I'm looking for. So just spread the word for us. Hit that subscribe button for me. I would appreciate it very much. Let me know you enjoy our content. Like I say, I appreciate you joining. Remember, it's keeping it real bass fishing, and I'm always trying to keep it real. So you keep it real, and let's go get that big one. Kid.